our mission was in the 8th SOS was anytime, any place. And that was the official motto. The unofficial motto was with the guts to try. My squadron commander said, "Oh, by the way, I'd like you to go fly on there was something called Bright Star." And Bright Star was took place in Cairo West, which is not the international airport, but it was actually out in the desert. And we were in tents and stuff like cots, and we didn't have air conditioning or anything like that. But it was a joint American, Egyptian, and for the first time ever, Somali operation. And the interesting thing about that was that the Somalis they'd been allies with the Soviet Union for the last, 10 or 12 years. They'd been giving them maybe even longer, all their equipment, all their military guys, and the Somalis were not. They got their noses punched in by the Ethiopian army, and they were kind of ticked off at the Russians, and so they switched sides to the United States, and we saw an opportunity to help them out and to exert an influence in that part of the world. And so the big picture was we were going over there to do some joint operations with them. So we were kind of ready for anything as we went down there, because even though the official line was the Somalis were now going to ally with the United States, that was at the official level, the embassy level. It'd be like the executive level. And you and I both know that when that decision is made, it takes a while to filter down to the other levels of government, and then to the military, and then to the levels of the military. So that was my biggest, I wouldn't say worry, but my biggest, I wondered, are we going into a place where they know we're the good guys? Even though we flew in conditions where they probably wouldn't see us. The biggest challenge actually came after we landed. And we landed about 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, I guess. And as the aircraft commander, I was the one that, when I wanted to go meet the guys at base operations, or what they had at the control tower. We had a little Toyota van that we hopped in, and for some reason the 2 Delta guys got in the middle row. I got in the back row with the co-pilot and navigator. The Air Force guy that was in advanced unit, he was in the front, and there was a Somali driver in the front. And we started driving to the control tower and get some gas and make some arrangements and things like that. We hadn't gone too far, maybe 100 feet, and there's a barbed wire barrier. And these Somali guards, they were Army guys. They saw us coming, and we stopped. They saw that we were obviously not Somalis, obviously American, and they raised their AK-47s. They were about 20 feet from us, and they pointed them right at us. I noticed the 2 Delta guys in front of me reached in the back of their backs, their waistbands, and they got out their weapons and cocked them. And we're just there sitting looking at each other. Somali soldiers looking at us. We're looking at them. It seemed like a long time. It was probably only a minute or two. That off in the shadows, another Somali guy, I think he was a sergeant, he came up and started talking with a Somali driver. And then he talked with the Air Force guy. And again, it seemed like a long time, but he finally told his guys to lower their weapons. It ended up okay, because the Somali sergeant, I guess he had gotten the word that we were good guys, and he let us through. We ended up getting arrangements for fuel. They didn't have fuel there at the time, so we had to spend the night. My squadron commander had told me that we probably would have to spend the night. And the Air Force guy said, "You don't want to stay you don't want to stay with the Somalis." So he got a place for us to stay in Mogadishu. Their only place standing with electricity and a roof there's one hotel, and so that's the hotel this guy was staying at, and he brought us to this hotel. And it was in the middle of Mogadishu. There was hardly any electricity in the hotel. They did have rooms, but they were just rooms. They were concrete beds. It was a pretty bare bones structure, and the rats were huge. The rats were as big as cats. So one of the things we did is we just huddled together. They wanted to give us separate rooms. We didn't do that. We just got together in one big room and made sure we were okay. Then made sure that we were checking on each other. We kind of kept a watch on each other during the night. Didn't sleep real well that night. Got up the next morning real early, and met an Army colonel. He was one of the most energetic, positive, bright, bubbly guys that I've ever met. And he was like the attaché to Somalia, and he just changed everything for us. His attitude was contagious. Just an amazing guy. Can do kind of a guy. And you need gas, I get you gas. You need something for something else for your airplane. What do you need? I'll get it for you. Here we are in the middle of Somalia, and he was just this kind of guy, just a super positive guy. And so he kind of changed our attitude. As bad as things were, once we were around him, we felt a lot better. So that was our first time in Somalia, and we thought, okay, been there, done that. I did not get the T-shirt, don't want it. What are we going to do next? So we landed, and my squadron commander said, "Well, Frank, that was pretty good. We wanted to break the ice with the Somalis, and how do you feel about going back next week?" And I remember what I said to him. I said, Colonel, I'll go ahead and do that. I'm going to ask my crew. If they follow me, they'll follow me anywhere. If they follow me back to Mogadishu, they'll follow me anywhere. And so we had a meeting with the crew, and everybody's glad to be back, even though we were back in the desert in Egypt. It was a heck of a lot better than where we were in Somalia. We had showers, we had water, we had food. But I said to the crew, you know what? I wanted to frame it as positive a light as I could, and I said, remember that colonel we met down there? He invited us to dinner, and his wife, he married a woman from Italy, and he told me she cooks a mean spaghetti dinner, and he invited us to dinner. And so the guys knew what I was doing, and I didn't have to order them to go back there with me. I just said I'd really like it if this is what our squadron commander wants to do, and I'd like it if we could start planning on doing this. And one by one, I looked at each of the guys, and they all said, "Yes, sir, can do, Captain." Every one of them, and that meant more to me than a lot. When you got guys that have seen a lot and done a lot, and they really are. You really get close to guys like that when they tell you that they'll go back to that really lousy place. And I don't want to disparage it, but it was one of the worst places I've ever been to, and I've been to a lot of places. When they just line up and say, "Sure thing, I'll go back with you," it really makes you feel good. And you do anything for each other. We got to be really close. We went back the second time, and we knew a little bit better what to expect. And sure enough, the colonel brought us to his villa. He actually invited us to spend the night there, and it took us about a nanosecond to say yeah. So we had a big dinner. His wife was a gracious host, wonderful cook, and we had a great time. I mean, it was a wonderful time. And actually, if you can have a good time in Somalia, you can have a good time anywhere. And that was actually one of the worst places on earth, but we had a pretty good time that second mission. As far as that specific mission, that was one of the tougher ones that I had.